Hello, runners. Welcome to a new episode of our Runners podcast series. I am Sonali, and I'm really excited about today's topic of discussion. I think most of us are pretty much done with our peak miso, and we are gearing up for our big race day. And I'm sure it's a mixed bag of emotions, a lot of excitement, nervousness, anxiety. I mean, after all, we have spent several weeks training for this big day. Even our most senior runners also go through the same thing, because no matter how many races we run, every race day experience is unique. But one thing is for sure, that each race day comes with its own learnings, its own takeaways, and definitely its own sense of accomplishment. So that way, for that, we have three amazing runners here with us today who are going to share stories about their race day experience. And I can't wait to get into that discussion. So without any further delay, let's begin with the introductions. Our guest number one, Rakesh, would you like to go first?
Sure, Sonali. Hello, everyone. So my name is Rakesh Acharya. I'm from Olin Park, Kansas City. So this is my second season with RSWB. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk about my first season, which was like I joined RSWB earlier this year in January. So that's what I'm going to share my experience about how the race was, and yeah. So that's pretty much all about it. Yeah.
So how did you have any experience in running before, Rakesh?
I actually work for Garmin here, so
Oh,
most of you know that Garmin is a company who is famous for they have these watches which is primarily designed for running and other activities. So I've seen a lot of people running in my company, like a lot of Boston marathoners. I've seen them personally, but like I joined Garmin in 2018, so I've never tried running until that point. One of my friend was part of RSWB, and he told me that this is a group where you can try running. So I had some health issues as well right after joining Garmin, so that's the reason I couldn't do proper running. So that's the reason I thought, okay, I'll give it a try, and the experience was amazing. So that's what we're going to talk about in this, I guess. So,
oh, great. Welcome, welcome, Rakesh. So glad
oh,
you decided to take it up, and yeah, I hope you're having fun as well. So
oh
your
yeah.
first season, was it a 10K? And
Yes, so I started my first season. I mean, it was
okay.
10K, and this season I'm going to try out with half marathon.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah,
Great, great. All right, welcome.
yeah, thank you.
Shiva sir?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Shiva Bala Narayanan. I'm originally from Tamil Nadu, but I grew up in Kolkata. And I went to college in Chennai and then came to Seattle in 1990 to get my PhD. I've lived here in Seattle since 1990. I work in the AI space, AI and education space. My wife Mira and we have three daughters. Running wise, I've never been an athlete at all. In fact, for a long time, the most athletic thing that I did was moving pieces on a chessboard. I actually used to walk a lot, averaging about 15,000 steps a day for a number of years. So that kept me fit. I started running only 2 years ago, actually by accident. My daughter Menaka was to come to Seattle for Thanksgiving, and so she and I decided to run a half marathon. So we did the Thanksgiving weekend Seattle half marathon during her trip here. I actually ran with very little preparation. I did run for a few weeks before, but very little preparation. Before that, I had never run a race, not even a 5K or a 10K. And although I was able to finish the race, I struggled with very little juice left at the very end. So that got me motivated. And I was thinking I should run my next marathon where I end the race with a feeling that I can run a few more miles if I wanted to. So that was my goal. So my nephew GV Ganesh, some of you might know, he saw my half marathon post on Facebook and he called me to congratulate me. And it was then he talked about RSWB and the wonderful running community that Coach Bala and others are creating there. He said that there was still a few more slots left for season 9, just like Rakesh season 9, and that I should sign up. So I signed up, and the rest is history. This is my second season with RSWB, and I'm training for my first full marathon.
Wow. And your first season was a half marathon?
Half marathon, yes.
Oh,
half marathon.
Wow, wow. Very nice. I mean, it's really inspiring that, I mean, even though you took up, running so later in, your kind of, I know you used to walk a lot before and all, but it's truly, truly inspiring. And, Shiva sir and I, we have the same coach. We are part of the same WhatsApp group. So I have seen like how much Shiva sir is, analyzes his runs. He's so curious about, learning and understanding about how to make it better. So I really admire, you're so driven, really admire your curiosity and your desire to get better and do things the right way. So really looking forward to speaking with you. And welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Radhika.
Hi, Sonali. Hello, Rakesh. Hello, Narendra. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Radhika, and I live in Westford, Massachusetts, with my husband, Praveen, and my son, Savan, who is a senior at college. I was born and brought up in Davangere, Karnataka. So growing up, I did tons of extra activities and very less of academics. So I did a lot of sports like high jump, throw ball, roller skating, 100 meters relay. And I also through NCC went on to do some trekking and biking expeditions. I was selected for Republic Day Parade at Delhi, so represented Karnataka and Goa battalion. Life was actually very good for me in high school. But then a lot of things changed once I started dental school. Academics became the primary focus, and everything else came to a stop. This is my 4th season with RHWB, and as so far I have completed 2 half marathons and 3 10K races. No doubt I am starting to relive my high school days once again, thanks to Coach Bala and Coach Suja. Very grateful.
Great. And how did you get into RSWB, Radhika?
Yeah, so during COVID, I would see Coach Suja, Coach Srivatsan, Sridhar, Sapna, Aparna. They would all be running in my neighborhood. And once Coach Suja asked me if I wanted to join the group, but then at that time I was dealing with my back issues, neck and shoulder issues. So I was really not confident I could run. So I did not join. But then Coach Suja made a statement saying that, hey, come on, you have walked full marathons. So running a 5K shouldn't be a big deal for you. And that kind of stuck in my head for a while. But by the time I decided and went back to her, I was too late for the season. The registration had closed. So I ended up waiting for the following season. And I'm very grateful to Coach Suja. She took her cohort in the following season.
Great. That's amazing. And actually, most of our listeners might be aware, but Radhika here had won the season 8 tagline, "Soul to Soul," and it's so nice that it's really fitting and apropos for today's conversation. So lovely to have you here, Radhika. I mean,
Thank you,
as Coach Bala says that inspiration comes from all directions in all forms, right? It's like we have to allow ourselves to be inspired. So it's so lovely that you guys had different variety of reasons to get there, but you decided to, take it up and follow it through. So again, welcome to all of you. And
thank you.
Yeah. So what I wanted to, what we wanted to do was kind of pick a season and kind of, see how it went from how your training season was and how ultimately what was your race day experience like, right? So I understand for Shiva sir and Rakesh, it's their second season. So I'm sure you would like to talk about the prior season that you have completed. And Radhika, I leave it up to you. Which season was, really special and eventful for you to talk about? But let's begin with Shiva sir here. Would you like to kind of, briefly summarize how your season was and, any highlights? You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I had a wonderful first season experience. I trained for a half marathon. My coach was Coach Aparna, and she was awesome. I think there are three aspects of the first season that I think joined together to create my first great season. I think the first was the structure of the sessions of the season with its workouts and carefully designed mesocycles. I think Coach Bala and team had put in a lot of thought into the schedule. So following it was both fun and very effective. So that's the first aspect. It's like the course material for a course. The second is the coach, which in my case was Coach Aparna. And did I mention that she was awesome? Our cohort WhatsApp group was also fabulous. I think Rakesh was also part of it. I traveled quite a bit during that season, especially within India, so had to be very flexible with my runs. And coach was both accommodative and firm in keeping me accountable for my training. That's the second aspect. So the coach is very important. The third aspect is, I would say, to my credit, my own approach to the training. I approached it as a student of running rather than a runner. There's a difference between a mere runner and a student of running. A runner, I think, blindly follows the workout instructions, goes out and does the run or resistant training or whatever the workout is. But he just checks off the items in the list. But as a student of running, I was able to separate myself into two halves. The runner in me who follows instructions and does the workouts, but also the other student part who was observing the runner and making improvements and looking in wonder at the body and mind adapting to the training and in awe of the whole process. It's not, so that's, in fact, there's a short story in, I think, Mandukya Upanishad about two birds perched on a tree. The bird, the lower bird, sitting and very busy, eating and chirping and so on, and the one above just simply watching and witnessing the whole thing. So I could feel the same thing within me, where the observer in me was witnessing the runner Shiva going through the process and getting inspired by the abilities of a human body. It's any body, but since I was experiencing it myself, it's like I was the tool for the education process. So that was the way I approached it, is one of the reasons why it was very enjoyable and rewarding the whole season for me. And that's one of the main reasons why I signed up for a full marathon right after one season.
Very, very beautifully said, Shiva sir. And you have really analyzed, the benefits or your takeaways from how you went through the season and what was your approach. I think definitely there's, we do our runs and everything, but if we keep that curiosity alive, and I've personally seen, right, I can attest to that, the analysis or the thought you put into your runs and, how they turn out to be. And when you ask questions, everybody else benefits as well. So yeah, I totally agree on that. Radhika, have you decided which season you would like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I would like to talk about my very first season, Mind Over Miles, because that's the season, was my first season, and then I made tons of mistakes and then corrected them. So this was the season it happened. It started in December. So I joined the December winter season. Training started very well. I was very committed to the program. I never missed a single day of practice. I started with 5K first. Most of my runs happened during my lunchtime at work. I would get out of the office and then run around the office building. So during one of my runs, funny thing happened. Our building owner came out one of the days, and then he started running with me. And oh, Radhika, what happened to you? What's going on? Talk to me. Is everything okay with your health? I have never seen you outside the office in last 15, 16 years, and you're getting me worried. And he was saying all that stuff, and started laughing. And I told him that no, I was joined this running program and I'm training for 5K. So we had a good laugh together. The reason I say this is because I'm famously known as an Eskimo among my friends and colleagues, because I don't like winters, I don't like snow, I don't come out of the house much during the winters. So I really shocked a lot of my folks by taking up running in the winter. And then in the second mesocycle, my coach bumped me up from 5K to 10K. I guess I was doing well. And then during the second mesocycle, bunch of us decided that, oh, we will go ahead and run our first 10K race. So we were well prepared and we signed up for the race in advance that was closer to our home, just in second mesocycle. And then the third mesocycle came, and then we were still training well. And in the fourth mesocycle, I had a family health emergency. And at that time, I looked at my life, I looked at my final search, I looked at my work schedule. I had several doctor appointments scheduled, and I was like, overnight, I just decided that I'm just going to go ahead and finish my race, virtual race. So next day morning, I get up, I sign up for virtual race for Ukraine, and then I get my gear ready, and then I go to this river trail, and then I complete my very first virtual 10K race. This is in the peak mesocycle, not completing the training yet. And it took me about like an hour and 27 minutes to complete. And I even got a progressive reverse split on my first season. So I was like super thrilled, super happy, super impressed about myself. But that runner's high was very, very short-lived, because the mistake I had made was I did not inform my coach about my virtual race. And we were in the middle of the peak mesocycle. I had put in a lot of miles. And looks like there were some folks just like me, they had converted their long runs into a race on that same day. So later that day, I got to listen to Coach Bala's weekend message, and he was addressing all the runners who had finished the race without completing the training. He sounded disappointed. He was not happy. He did not want runners taking any shortcuts. That's not what this training was all about. So once I heard his message, I wanted to do things right for the right reasons. It was just for me. So I finally again went back to my coach, Coach Suja, and explained my situation. And she adjusted my runs so I could recover well in another next 2 weeks, finish my training, and then I ended up running 2 10K races that same season, in person one and one virtual. But anyway, the moral of the story is we are going to have setbacks in life, in training, whatever it is. Don't take it upon yourself. Talk to your coaches, explain your situation, because they are there to help and guide and support you. So mind over miles, that season will remain forever in my heart, because that's the season I felt like an athlete. And I had also demonstrated all 3 pillars of RHWB. That was, I was committed to the program, I was having fun, but the mistake I made but then I corrected it by coming back strong, and I showed my resilience. So I was happy that I was able to finish the season with no injury.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
That was my 16-week training.
Yeah, so many learnings, right? In that span of, I mean, you haven't even gotten to race day, and over the span of 16 weeks, you learned so many things. Number one, you learned something about yourself, like you said, right? Nobody
Yeah.
could believe that in the winter, in middle of winter, you would just come out and, start running. So that is something really cool you figured that you would do. And again, right, like you mentioned, communication with the coach, running things by them. And
Yeah.
but there was definitely, and first season is always special, and
Yeah.
I think all the things that have happened, I'm sure that is one to remember.
Yes, for me, for sure. Yes.
Lovely, lovely. How about you, Rakesh? What was your first season like?
So my first season, I started in January this year. So that's like Radhika mentioned, it was peak of summer here in Kansas City. Oh, sorry, winter in Kansas City. So, I mean, the schedule and the experience was fantastic. I mean, Aparna, she was a fantastic coach. I mean, even in my current season, she is my coach, and she did a great job following up with my stats and giving feedbacks on where I need to improve. But before I started the season, that was like I was kind of a skeptical on joining any of these groups, thinking that whether really, I mean, that was the time when we used to hear a lot of news about youngsters in their 30s or 40s. They had heart attack when they were running the marathon. So these kind of news when you get to hear, so I was skeptical about whether really we whether it is really meant for me. So after I started, I just thought that I'll give it a try for the first season and see how it goes. But after I completed my first season, I realized that it's not only about randomly running. So that's what a lot of runners I see make a mistake where they don't follow the schedule and they don't follow the strength training exercises. So I realized that it is very important your strength training and your the schedule to follow that. Along with that, your sleep, diet is equally important. So even during my sessions with Coach Aparna, she did mention about your diet, how you need to follow it, and your sleep cycle. So these are all are very important things to follow, and that really helped me to get going. So I was initially, I mean, before even joining the season, I was able to run this one, like shorter distances very easily, like 1 mile, 2 mile. But the moment it stretched to 3 mile or more, I was struggling. So that's where she helped me to, have a strategy on how to run the longer runs. And I was struggling with my breathing, so she suggested some breathing exercises to follow every day. So that really helped me. And I felt that these are the kind of things. I mean, you just don't jump into the things like. Often, I mean, we are in a competitive world. When you see someone older than you doing 15 miles or 20 miles, you get to at that stage immediately. You want to do that like immediately, and you want to improve yourself. But this season or the first season that I joined, it taught me that you just need to compete with yourself. So and the whole community is there to cheer you up, and they are supporting you without expecting anything back from you. That's one of the great learnings from that season. So it was fantastic, and I was able to do my 10K. And yeah, glad that the entire members, the coach staff was really helpful to address any of the issues which were there.
You brought out a couple of very important points, right? For example, I mean, a structured training program, it basically starts off, the way it is structured is you start slow and you slowly build up your stamina, your resilience, and you go it in a very methodical manner. When someone who's new to running, right, looks at it and, can feel overwhelmed with starting with 1 mile and all, how am I going to go and run 13 miles, right? But by the time you finish those 16 weeks of training, you can't believe it yourself, because these cumulative benefits really add up. And it's nothing short of a miracle when we actually get to that. The second part, which is even more important to remember, like you mentioned, right? a lot of us may feel that, oh, it's just 1 mile. I think I can push more. It's just 2 miles. I think I can go 4 miles, right? And then that's where sometimes somewhere along the way, you start feeling a little bit out of depth, right? Like, oh, it is getting tough. So,
exactly. Yeah.
and
yeah, when I work for Garmin here, so I'm fortunate that I work for a company which promotes these kind of things. So, but I never tried it so far. So before last year, so like one of my colleague, he ran a Boston Marathon like a couple of years back. So I used to see very good runners, like they're like fantastic in running. They do like for 40, 50 miles in one stretch. I've seen that in my workplace as well. They're very calm, and they don't get stressed when there is a lot of work pressure on them. So they have a very calm and cool personality, which comes up with this running. So that's what I realized, that I used to talk to him, how do you do that, like how do you run for 15 miles or 10 miles during the peak winters. And he used to tell me that running is a part of his life. It is just like, if we don't eat something on a particular day, we kind of feel that we're hungry or we are missing on something. So that's what RSWB taught me, that after following the schedule, if we don't run any on any day, then you feel like you are missing out on something. So that's it. The schedules are meant for, I believe, it's to make you feel that it's a part of your life. You are, after following 2 or 3 seasons, you're going to make it as a habit, and you're not going to miss it, even if you don't have that like running season. So you will still follow that to make sure that you are fit and healthy, and you're following to get that good feeling.
lovely, lovely. I mean, listening to how your season went and how your training went, I really cannot wait to hear about your actual, race day. But before that, yeah, let's talk about, your race day preparation and then your actual race day. So this time, Radhika, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. Race day preparation, I was just following what Coach Bala would say in his weekend messages and podcasts. I paid a lot of attention to my strength training, glute activation exercises, yoga. I would practice single leg stands while cooking, good hydration, drinking lots of coconut water, electrolytes every day after runs, before runs, during runs, good nutrition, rice, potatoes, beetroot. I would also drink like pickle juice. I don't know if it helped or not, but I think it helped me. Pickle juice prior to my runs. I would practice belly breathing every day, every night, so it would help me in running. One other thing I did was I started walking barefoot just to strengthen my feet. So I would not wear socks or sandals inside the house. I would walk barefoot. I think that kind of helped too. And I had conserved a lot of energy that week. Not talking too much, no high energy things, just basic, just be calm. And for the race day, I had actually kept all the clothes ready the previous night. So I had my old shoes, old socks, old running gear, nothing new for the race day. So that way, didn't want to have any surprises. That was my preparation. And on the race day itself was actually very good, because we had signed up with bunch of our friends. It was closer to home, and that was my first in-person 10K race. Race was very well organized, lots of water, Gatorade, granola bars, cheerleaders, music, drums. We were really excited. There were hundreds of runners participating. So a bunch of us, we started doing dynamic stretching prior to the start. And when the gun went off, all the things that I wanted to do on that race day, I did not do. So when I just took off like a bullet without any control on my senses. So usually my pace is like between 13 and 14 minutes a mile. But on that day, my first mile was like 10 minutes. And after 1 mile, I was just panting. I had cramps. I had stitches. My heart rate 180. And then I kept thinking, oh my God, how am I going to complete next 5.2 miles, which seemed very hard. But then I completely slowed down, took a couple of water breaks, brought my heart rate down, and then I finally finished the race. So when I finished the race, it was in person. I finished it at 1 hour and 19 minutes. I had gotten a PR without my knowledge because my virtual race was 1 hour and 27 minutes. And this was like 1 hour and 19 minutes. But I made again several mistakes in the race. First one is we picked a wrong course. This was my first season. I was a new runner. And this course was entirely rolling hills. And we were not trained to run hills. So that was the first mistake. And then the second mistake was the race started around 11:30 or 12, something like that. And we were there early and we were overly dressed in layers because it was early in the morning. And when the race started, we still had a couple of layers and I was super hot, sweating and miserable. So that was the second mistake. We were overly dressed. And then the third mistake was running the first mile fastest was the biggest mistake that costed me cramps and side stitches and heart rate and all that. But in spite of all these obstacles, we really finished the race with a smile on our faces, believe it or not. Coach Suja was right there at the finish line, so we could hear her cheering us and boosting us from far. And overall, it was just a great experience. I say this in all modesty that on that day, even though we were all our friends who ran that day, we were all in our 50s, and we just felt like high school kids. It was just an amazing feeling.
Absolutely. What a wonderful, experience, Radhika. And, thank you for being so open and candid about your errors and,
Yes.
mistakes, right? And that is what looks like you followed all the instructions to the T. You learned from others' experiences and mistakes. But obviously, right, any race, you sometimes life throws you curveballs. And I think in spite of that, because like you said, right, you literally covered all three pillars of RHWB. You were able to adapt and
Yes.
deal with whatever happened doing live troubleshooting and finish the race with a smile. So
Yes.
I think that's really wonderful, and looks like it was a special one, of course.
Yes, it will be special for a long time. Yes.
Amazing. Rakesh, how was your first race like?
Oh, it was fantastic. Before the race day, I think 1 week before the actual race, the coaches did mention about taking enough fluids 4 to 5 days before the race. That actually really helped me because a lot of people, I think in the past as well. I think when I usually do biking sometimes, so we drink water just before the race. That's not going to help you really. So taking enough fluids at least 4 to 5 days before the actual race day, it actually helps with the running. So that's what happened with me. So I was preparing well at least 3 to 4 days before the race day. I was starting to drink more liquids, and as usual, just before the race day, previous night I had enough carbohydrates to make sure that I had enough energy. So one of the things with me is that when I get up in the morning, I like to run with the bare stomach. I don't want to eat anything, even though coaches. It differs from person to person. So I just made sure that I had some light cereal to make sure that I have high energy. So I get energy when I don't eat anything. So so that's the reason I kind of had, especially in the morning. So I can run longer distances, or I usually do biking early in the morning, 40-50 miles. So that's like when I don't eat much. Just a light cereal. That's good enough for me. So that's what I did on that morning. So I had a light cereal just because I had to do that. So and it was too cold, temperature was in 30s when we started the race. So I was really pumped up and wanted to, complete it within an hour or so. But I was running with, when I started the run, I was running with one of my friends' kid, and he was a great runner. So he used to train with me, and he was training for half marathon during the training season. And
Your friend's son?
yes.
Oh, okay.
And he's a 10-year-old kid. So
wow.
on the race day, because of the I think cold temperature, he decided that he's going to do the 10K. So I was just running with me, and running with that person, that kid, and he started, after half a mile, he started having breathing issues, and kind of his heart rate went up. So I had to slow down and make sure that he's okay. So I kind of walked with him, and made sure that, for a couple of miles I walked with him, and then his mom joined him, and then up until there I was there with him, and then I started running my normal race. So he is a fantastic kid. I'm glad that I encouraged him during that phase, but still he was able to complete his race and finish the 10K. So I'm glad that he did it. It was fantastic. And after that, I probably would have finished 5 or 10 minutes before without that, but I'm very glad that I helped him. But for me, it is just about completing the race. I don't care about my timing. So that's what I learned from RSWB. So even if I run for half marathon or full marathon in the upcoming season, I'm not going to worry about my timing, and it's only about completing the race. So it was fantastic.
Wow, what a beautiful story, Rakesh. And I mean, we all see with running, right? Or running a race, the outcome is an individual outcome, but in a way, it is a team sport where you uplift others as you progress, right? And what you did for that boy, helping him out, waiting it out, it was a first race for you. It would, was very special for you. But what you did for him, I'm sure he's going to remember like forever. And
I mean,
so important for our young generation, right, who are kind of growing up in this competitive age, where a competitive world where winning is, that's what they focus on, or they tend to focus on. So I think it's a wonderful lesson for everyone. And again, right, like the kid and his mom must have been really grateful, and I think that's really something wonderful that you did for him. And
I don't. Any person in my place would have done the same thing. I feel that. But that's one of the things. When I started training for my run in RSWB, one thing I noticed is that all of our coaches, they all have their personal life, and in spite of that, they dedicated their time to go through our training stats and make sure that we are following the race. And so that's like they are giving up to, giving things to the community without expecting anything back from us. So if, like, we see it in our work life, or outside the work also, when people do something from to you, they expect back something from you. So but RSWB is a group where everyone is selfless. So that's a kind of organization. When you train within that organization, you kind of feel that you need to give it back to the community. So I don't feel like I've done a great job. Any person in my place would have done the same thing. But I'm glad that I'm uh, as you explained earlier, like running a 10K, it's not an achievement for me, but I would say that I have taken the step to start running in my life, so that's an achievement. So whether it's a 5K or a 10K, there are a lot of people, we don't move around when in our normal work time. Like, we just sit in front of the computer, so we don't do the actual hard work. So that's the reason I think I feel that we are all, we have done a great job. We all should be proud of ourselves that we have taken the first step to start running in our life. So that's what I'm proud of.
amazing, amazing. I mean, yes, I totally agree that all our coaches and everyone who supports RSWB as a community is doing it so selflessly without any expectation in return. And looks like you found a wonderful way to kind of pay it forward, right? Along with your own accomplishment, you help someone accomplish their goal as well. So
yeah,
kudos to you for that.
I'll do that like in every race if I get the first.
And it's actually very, kind of you to also assume that yes, everybody would do, something like that, which you did, right, for that boy. So that also shows that that's what you see in others. So that's a lovely story, Rakesh. I'm glad it was a special race for you.
Yeah.
How about you, Shiva sir? What was your first race like?
Yeah. Yeah. First day, race day. My main learning is expect the unexpected. On race day, there are certain things that will go well, certain things that will not go well. In my case, most of the things did not go well. Because the day after the final long run on my peak miso, I got COVID. Before the season, just as the season ended and before the taper, I was in India at that time and remember feeling devastated. Being in bed and in quarantine when I should be at least doing some mild running meant that I could not do anything during my taper weeks. My COVID symptoms were also fairly intense, and it took me 2 weeks to start feeling normal again. So by the time I felt better and I returned to Seattle, RSWB, the race day when I was originally planning on running, was long over, and we were sort of a couple of weeks beyond that. So I spoke to Coach Aparna, and we decided that I shouldn't end the season with no final race. So I ran a virtual half marathon 2 weeks later than I should have. A couple of days after I flew back, I landed back in Seattle. I was jet lagged. Jet lagged always means you are a little dehydrated, but otherwise felt okay. So I did one small conversational pace run a couple of days right after I landed. That also felt okay. So having not run at all for 3 weeks after PISO, I don't know if I should call that no taper or full taper with zero ramp down, whatever it is. But other than that, I prepared for the race just like I would for a normal race. I carb loaded the previous day or the previous few days, drank lots of fluids like Rakesh said, and slept well the day before. I had early dinners, which I found that having early dinner and letting the heart rate come down to a resting, giving it more hours of sleep was important. So I did all that. The race actually, the next day, the race started well. So this was a half marathon. The first 3 or 4 miles, I didn't feel anything. I felt normal. Then I started developing cramps and had to slow down considerably. I was taking gels every 30 minutes and drinking electrolytes, but I could really feel that my post-COVID body was not just ready for the entire race. So I changed my strategy, like Dr. Radhika here. I changed my strategy for the last 5 miles and did 2 minutes of brisk walking and then the rest running, and somehow limped myself to the finish line. So in summary, a fantastic season and a very memorable race day. Not necessarily what I planned. That's the message. The message is expect the unexpected.
Yes, and a very important one indeed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times we do everything so perfectly, and something or the other can really take you by surprise. And that's the beauty of it, right? You need to adapt yourself to that situation and think what is the best you can do out of it. Now, a few things that I can, truly bring out as learnings is one, you really allowed yourself to recover well. You did not get kind of swept away by oh, the race day is coming up, I need to do something. You had enough patience to let yourself recover and come back in a way that it was deemed safe for you to actually attempt it. And main thing is that yes, you expected that there could be something that would throw you off course, and so that was the other thing. And again, right, like from all three of you, what I gather is even though things did not go as per plan, you did not waste time thinking at, oh, I did everything that I was supposed to do, why did it have to happen to me, right? So at that moment you find what is the best solution, you figure the way out forward, and then move forward with that. So, I mean, wonderful, wonderful experiences, a variety of experiences indeed, right? Some things in our control, some things totally out of our control, but definitely special ones, a lot to, a lot of memories, lot to relish about. So, but of course, all of these came with quite a few learnings. We talked about some of them, but it would be great if, you want to kind of summarize them, summarize your learnings, or give any additional in your words. So Rakesh, why don't we kind of
Yeah.
start with-
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, the learning experience was, running is not about just following the schedule. So once we start doing this for 1 season, 2 season, it becomes a part of like our life. So running should be a part of our life, just like we are having a nap, taking a nap, or eating breakfast. So it's something like that. It has to be a part of our life. So that's what I felt that like whether we have a running season or not have a running season, we should keep running so that we become physically and mentally fit. So, and the other thing is the schedules that we follow. It's not only about running, the strength training and some of the other exercises that coaches tell you to do it, it's equally important. So that's what prevents you from having cramps and other physical injuries when you actually do the long runs. So that really helped me. So I was following the like strength training exercises, and a lot of people who had run the long marathon, like full marathons and half marathon, had told me that we need to take this equally seriously, just like we do the like running training. So that is one of the like um, like learnings for me. And the other things are like taking more fluids, and like I had issues with my breathing like when I was doing the running. So coaches really helped me to control that with some other exercises. And also, all in all, for me, it's a fantastic experience. And as I said, it's not just about just following the schedule. It has to be a part of your life as you go through like your next phase of your life forever.
Absolutely. Along with your physical training, physical preparation, mentally also you have to kind of not treat it as something just to check off the list, but something that you acknowledge you're doing for yourself
Yeah,
and
yeah,
really enjoy that process.
yes.
Lovely. Shiva sir, what would you like to say to our
Yeah,
audience?
I want to say something specific about the race day as well. I'm sort of my philosophy or approach to it. It's again, it's my own personal opinion. I think there's a paradox there. Race day is very important, and race day is not important at all. I would compare it to a graduation ceremony. Yeah, graduating from college and the ceremony is important. That's why friends and family spend a lot of time, money, and effort to travel and gather to celebrate. You get a certificate from university president and all that. It's very symbolic and to an entire learning season, and definitely a day to celebrate. But that's about it. You are still a graduate if you don't attend the graduation. All the learnings that you do that make you eligible to graduate are all complete when you complete the course. So similarly, the point of every RSWB season is the weeks of training. Again, in my opinion, at the end of which we are already better runners. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't run the final race or shouldn't give it our best shot, but the best attempt should be a result of us giving our best effort in everything we do, rather than anything specific, right? The fact that we have come this far is in itself mission accomplished, just like, again, I do the course analogy. So the final race is just an icing on the cake, but that could be the way I measure progress is, again, 3 years ago, if you had asked me, could you walk a mile every day of the week? I would have said, yeah, sure, why not? And then go about the rest of the day without any problems. I would say yes. If you had asked me, can you run a 5K every day and still behave normally or go about the life? I would have said definitely not. And then slowly that duration, then if you ask me if you run a mile every day, I would have said sure. And then 3 miles, 5 miles, to a point where I think I can comfortably in a slow with my slow run, run several miles, maybe even 5 to 6 miles every day, and still go about my life. So that's my progress, and everybody has his or her own progress. So the fact that we are progressing, it makes I think we should put the race day in its perspective. It's much more, to me, it's a much more reason for celebration than getting uh, vexed about or stressed out about how am I going to run my final 6 miles and things like that. So that's
Absolutely.
it could just be.
Yes, and a very important thing to keep in mind, right? One is celebrate the training that you have completed so successfully. Race day may or may not turn out to how you had expected it, but you should celebrate it. It is an achievement, but it is a true testament to what you have done so far. And again, compare instead of comparing ourselves to others. I think we have to take pride in the fact of how we have improved, day over day, week over week, or month over month. So a very lovely learning in that message. Thank you, Shiva sir. Radhika?
Yeah, so I have a few learnings from last 4 seasons. One is when you set an intention, somehow your desire will manifest, that you want to do this. And even if you're ready or not ready, I have always seen that the people around you and also the universe will just somehow inspire and will motivate you to do things. So don't hesitate to take up anything new. And secondly, one other thing I would like to say to the runners is if you learn something new, like if you're listening to your weekend messages or listening to the podcast or whatever it is, the best way to learn is to teach it to others. And that way, that's the best way to remember things. And that's what we did in last 4 seasons. If I learned something, then during my runs, I would talk it out with my friends. So that way, even I get to remember and then they get to learn. And also, I truly believe it's this small continuous efforts that we do every day without even knowing that we are doing it is what will reap big benefits in the long run. And finally, life is just all about balance. Don't take things too seriously. We all have just finite time on this earth. So just go at your own pace, keep moving, keep learning, keep growing, do whatever that makes you happy. And most importantly, just don't forget to have fun. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank Coach Bala, Coach Suja, and all the mountain of runners who are behind RHWB. I am just so happy, grateful, and a lot of gratitude for taking me in and for being part of this community. Now I'm in my 50s, and believe it or not, I am reliving and reinventing myself. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So many wise words there, Radhika. And definitely, right, a lot of times we hesitate to take something up because we don't think we are capable of it. But like you rightly said, don't worry about that. Just, have that determination and things will work out by itself if you have the right intention. And yes, we are definitely lucky to be in such a wonderful community. And yes, important thing to remember, enjoy enjoy your race day, enjoy your training, enjoy your hard work. And wishing all of you a wonderful a race day, which is, I'm sure, all of coming up soon. And for Shiva sir, Rakesh, I know you have kind of, from your previous season, you are running a even bigger distance, so wish you all the best. Radhika, to you as well. And
no, I finished my virtual half marathon last week. So
amazing, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Lovely. Yeah, and to all our audience, have a wonderful rest of the season. Share a lot of pictures, your humble brags, and your learnings, what you learned from your experience. And I'm sure, like we did, we'll definitely benefit from everybody's inputs here. Thank you, all three of you, for your time. It was lovely speaking. And
Yes,
talk to you soon. All right. Bye.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.